Every person who has tried to speak out about this, who has tried to speak out about the industry, the type of people that are controlling the industry, the attacks that people face from the media if they try to speak out, is always the same. They're called crazy. And an example of one such individual who went through those sorts of attacks is the actor Orlando Brown.
Foul shit, like behind the scenes, he would do some foul shit, like hating on, like doing things with people I done business with that he done business with. He would say shit that I was like, he said that to you?
Right.
I was like, yeah, so all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and niggas don't know what they like till they see somebody with it. So they want the girls after you're done with them and shit.
Yeah, leftovers.
Yeah.
You take your leftovers. A lot of niggas have my leftovers.
Parties.
Yeah.
So a lot of the celebrity culture that you don't hear saying anything.
Those parties back in the day.
I'm just not with all that flicky shit. Like all of the stuff that he's doing, I'm not into that type of stuff. I'm just a little more, maybe you could say basic.
With Puffy, I know you're not really tapped in, but what
the last thing I saw was like a guy there. He was like, yo, he like pushed me into the truck. It really hurt. And he sounded me. Like he sounded me. I was like, yo, look, I could find other things to do for money.
Did you see?
The second 50 Cent stepped into that courtroom, Diddy's whole vibe cracked. His eyes popped wide open, jaw locked tight, and his hands straight up trembling under the table. Gone was the smooth, untouchable mogul we've seen flexing for decades.
Tell him the story. So we talking about rumors, right?
Yeah.
And we, you know, when you Google his name, there's a rumor that pops up that he was Diddy's boy toy.
Oh shit!
Right.
Wait, so this is
so Charlamagne said
it's not true. But I told after he brought up the stuff with you, I said, you know what 50 gonna say when he meets you?
Oh no, I don't know that was going on.
You know,
I can't wait to run into him again.
What you gonna say to him?
Puffy was playing with your booty in Miami.
You know what 50 gonna say to you when he sees you.
What?
I heard Diddy touch your butt.
Yeah. Wait till I see him. Wait till I see him. I'm like, yo.
By day 3 of the trial, witnesses said Diddy completely snapped. And when 50 publicly stood by Cassie, that move had jaws dropping in court. It could flip this whole case on its head. Diddy didn't just build a business. He built a brand out of staying cool under pressure. For over 30 years, he's been the king of composure.
Years, you being the only one calling this out.
I look like I've been the crazy guy for a long time.
They said you're a hater. They said you're crazy.
You do this, yeah. And now everybody's complaining. My ass is hurting. Like, there's all this shit that's coming.
50, you can't make jokes about it.
No.
The internet might come for you, bro.
All I'm saying
it
is,
might come from you.
You see it now. All of these complaints. People were damn. They were and pillaged. This was what was going on, right? And what do I get for the? I went through years of a hater. You're a hater. You want this and that. I'm just watching. Like I look at things and go. When you see the new lawsuit coming with Jay, the part with Jay, I go, oh shoot, like. Then I think about it, I go, that had to be there. So when I was saying that he was missing. He just wasn't actively being out there because they was dealing with that.
Wait, do you think there's truth to the Jay thing? There's no way.
Know. Like that, look, you know what's like if you say, I have this thing where I'm conflicted when it takes you 20 years to remember something happened to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I go also 10 years, 20 years later, that comes back, and it's like all of Puff's problems are coming from the ministers touching little boys.
What you mean?
The laws are the way they are because
because of the priests.
The priests touching little boys.
Yeah. Red carpets. He owned them with that picture-perfect grin. Interviews, never a flinch. Public drama, he handled it like it was scripted for him. You remember that wild 2017 interview? A reporter tried to press him about hush money paid to ex-employees. Diddy just smiled, straightened his blazer, and flipped the convo like it was nothing. Or back in 2012, when his restaurant shut down, dude still pulled up to the closing party like it was a celebration. Classic Diddy move.
Fifth, when you continuously call Puff gay, does that affect your relationships in Hollywood?
I don't call him gay. I said.
Let me read it, Fifth.
Oh my God.
Sorry I can no longer help you guys. Soon you will all be gay and happy. You are all now left under leadership of Puffy Daddy. Report to the nearest rainbow. Dinner Thieves in theaters January 9th.
That's why he says things. He doesn't even know what he's saying is like fruity. You know what I'm saying? Like, he said something fabulous, and he goes, "Yo, but me and you, we ain't party. Like, we need to party." What is he talking about? That's the kind of stuff that when people say that to me, I get a little uncomfortable. I get uncomfortable. Like he said something to me one time, a long time ago, at Chris Lighty's wedding. He told me he'd take me shopping. I looked at him like, what'd you just say? Let me move, man, before I do something. You're gonna make me mess up the wedding.
Oh, that's a nice gesture.
Let me get out of no, dude, take me. That's what a guy says to.
But none of that coolness shows up without serious effort behind the scenes. Insiders say Diddy's got a whole team of 12 working around the clock just to polish his public image. We're talking rehearsed answers, mirror-trained reactions, even practiced smiles. Every little moment in public, carefully engineered. But now, the mask is starting to slip. His former assistant spilled that Diddy used to rehearse interview answers for hours, in the mirror, before hitting TV.
With Puffy, I know you're not really tapped in, but what
the last thing I saw was like a guy there. He was like, "Yo," he like pushed me into the truck. It really hurt, and he sounded me. Like he sounded me. I was like, "Yo, look, I could find other things to do for money." Did you see?
Not just that, he had a personal media coach on standby who'd throw fake crisis scenarios at him just to see if he could keep his cool. But behind those flashy shades, people close to him whispered about something darker. Rage. Word is, there were always two Diddys. One was the smooth-talking mogul we all saw on BET and late-night shows. The other, a man who reportedly hurled phones at the wall when things didn't go his way. A former Bad Boy record staffer once told me off the record he was two different dudes. But none of those stories ever caught fire, because no one big enough was willing to confirm them.
Every person who has tried to speak out about this, who has tried to speak out about the industry, the type of people that are controlling the industry, the attacks that people face from the media if they try to speak out, is always the same. They're called crazy. And an example of one such individual who went through those sorts of attacks is the actor Orlando Brown.
That started to change right before the trial. First, paparazzi caught Diddy snapping at a fan outside his lawyer's office. Dude straight up barked at the guy just for asking for a photo. Then came the icy pre-trial press conference, where he gripped the podium so hard his knuckles looked like chalk. Alone, they might have seemed like nothing. But when you've spent millions on PR to look untouchable, these tiny cracks speak volumes. PR crisis expert Tanya Rodriguez broke it down for me. Celebs like Diddy build their image like a fortress, layer by layer. But the moment pressure hits, those walls start to buckle, and when they do, everything falls.
Turns out that it's just been announced that he's created a docu-series on Netflix. I can't wait to see this. The other end of that, every person who has tried to speak out about this, who has tried to speak out about the industry, the type of people that are controlling the industry, the attacks that people face from the media if they try to speak out, is always the same. They're called crazy. And an example of one such individual who went through those sorts of attacks is the actor Orlando Brown. He was on Disney, and I remember everyone telling us that he was totally insane and deranged when he was saying a lot of things that at the time sounded crazy, particularly about Diddy. Take a listen.
The requirement is you gotta say no to Diddy. If it's new booty in the building, you know he's gonna get it.
Don't take your girlfriend to a Diddy party.
You can take the but he won't you.
Diddy, to me, is the fall guy. We are still seeing a major effort to protect the big names just.
And that's exactly what exploded on day 3. Court insiders say the mask shattered. Reporter Marcus Jenkins said Diddy was visibly trembling when certain evidence came out. His leg was bouncing so hard, the whole defense table was shaking. Jenkins pointed out that Diddy straight up cut off his own lawyer, not once, but 3 separate times. And each time his voice got louder, more aggressive, until the judge had to jump in. The real breaking point? Diddy suddenly shouted in the middle of testimony, forcing Judge Harmon to warn him directly. One more outburst, and you're getting hit with contempt.
Offended by what I was offended by.
Wow, they found Kendrick and Whiteface.
You know, that's obviously doing chopping. They got the same outfit.
Yeah, it's true. In public. Yeah, that's a nice shirt. That was a nice shirt. All right, so when he said the shopping line, in real life, what did you say?
I said, let me get away from him. Because it was like, he was like, yo, you hot now. Now we got to hang out now. Like, you know, like hang out.
Yeah.
He said, I don't know, maybe I'll take you shopping and I get you some flash and you could give me the hood shit. And I was looking and I was like, let me just move away from him because I'm going to mess up the wedding. I always say to myself, like,
it was someone's wedding?
It was Chris Lighty's wedding. He's in Miami. Nori's there. Nori knows this because I looked at him like, yo.
Witnesses said his face was so twisted with rage, it didn't even look like the Diddy the world had known for 3 decades. But just when it looked like Diddy might be pulling it together, boom. The courtroom doors creaked open, and in walked someone who flipped the energy on its head. The last person Diddy expected to see, standing with his accuser. His longtime rival. A man who's been itching to bring him down for years. That's right, 50 Cent walked in. People in the room said Diddy's face drained of all color. Dude looked like he'd seen a ghost. This beef between Diddy and 50 goes way back. We're talking almost 20 years deep. And it was never just industry shade, it was all-out war. 50's been dragging Diddy since the early 2000s, blasting him on radio shows, in interviews, and most famously, online.
Those parties back in the day.
I'm just not with all that flicky shit. Like all of the stuff that he's doing, I'm not into that type of stuff. I'm just a little more, maybe you could say basic.
He once hinted Diddy had ties to Biggie's death and even took aim at his personal life, questioning his identity and relationships. This wasn't no casual rap feud, this was personal vengeance. So when 50 walked in, dripped out in a sharp black suit and his signature dark shades, you could feel the air get heavy. Court reporter Janelle Martin told me the room went dead silent. You could hear people's phones buzzing in their pockets. That moment, it shifted the whole courtroom. Diddy, who had been whispering something to his lawyer, froze mid-sentence. His head jerked up, and according to 3 separate witnesses, his face went from confused to shocked to straight-up spooked. Nobody saw it coming. Nobody thought 50 Cent would actually pull up in person. Yeah, he'd been throwing shade at Diddy online for weeks, ever since Cassie filed her lawsuit, but showing up in court, that hit different.
It, right?
Yeah,
I know you've been heavy on social media talking about it.
He did it. And I'm the only one who's been vocal about this long before it actually. But I also didn't participate. I also didn't go to those parties.
Yeah.
So a lot of the celebrity culture that you don't hear saying anything is because they participated.
Was there a reason you never went to those parties back in the day?
I'm just not with all that flicky shit. Like all of the stuff that he's doing, I'm not into that type of stuff. I'm just a little more, maybe you could say basic.
Just last month, 50 dropped that now viral hotel surveillance footage, the one allegedly showing Diddy putting hands on Cassie back in 2016, with the caption, "Money can't hide who you really are." That post racked up over 12 million views and had people talking everywhere. Then he followed it up with a storm of IG posts, hinting he had even more dirt locked and loaded. What folks didn't know, 50 had been working behind the scenes too. A source with direct knowledge told me 50's legal team reached out to Cassie's side right after the lawsuit was filed.
Guy trying to get?
I don't know. Like, it's a simple suit situation, but it's like
20 mil. I can say it.
You still have to black his face out. You still have to mimic his voice because he's like,
but his voice wasn't even that different.
And a little deeper. I was like, almost like, no, that's you, young buck.
Yo,
I almost felt like it was him. I almost knew who it was. You know what I mean? I was like, nah. You heard what he just said, right? He's like, yo, certain things they let it go by because it's Puff. Like they would look, like he would say stuff, and it's like he wasn't like in the closet, he was like in the hallway. Now you see so much shit that you go, wait. No, this was visible, guys.
He was in the hallway. We saw the video.
You saw that video. It comes out later. You're like, that's not the closet. That's the hallway. He didn't give a fuck. Like, you could tell that he was already.
Nah, New York is dope. Because when Fab, he was like, yo, Fab, we ain't party. And Fab was like, nah, we partying tonight.
He's like, no, like, but he didn't party.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, they let that one go? Like, I had to say something about it later because I was like, oh.
He told them straight up. He believed her and wanted to back her however he could. And let's be real, 50's always been a master at playing the long game when it comes to his rivals. When 50 sat down in that back row, the whole vibe in the courtroom changed. Heads were turning like it was the finals at Wimbledon, eyes bouncing between him and Diddy. Diddy tried to act focused, staring at his lawyer's notes. but courtroom sketches showed him glancing over his shoulder again and again. And then, boom, came the midday twist. During the lunch break, 50 stepped outside and faced the media swarm head-on. 50 didn't just show support, he put his money where his mouth is.
Foul shit, like behind the scenes, he would do some foul shit, like hating on, like doing things with people I done business with that he done business with. He would say shit that I was like, he said that to you?
Right.
I was like, yeah, so all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and niggas don't know what they like till they see somebody with it. So they want the girls after you're done with them and shit.
Yeah, leftovers.
Yeah.
You take your leftovers. A lot of niggas have my leftovers.
Yeah. So a lot of the celebrity culture that you don't hear saying anything.
Right there outside the courthouse, he told reporters he was personally funding more legal muscle for Cassie through his G-Unity Foundation. "I'm putting money behind making sure survivors get heard," 50 said, and then he dropped a bomb. "I'm going to help more women speak up about what powerful men in this industry have done." Then came the real mic drop. "This ain't about me and Diddy's beef. This is about right and wrong. Period." When word of 50's statement hit the courtroom, Diddy exploded. Witnesses say he slammed his fist on the defense table so hard that his water glass flew over. His lawyer scrambled to settle him down, but it was no use. Diddy was shaking all over, furious and losing grip fast. Security even inched closer to his side of the room, ready in case things went left. And it couldn't have happened at a worse moment for him. Because right then, as Diddy's rage hit full tilt, the prosecution stepped up and dropped a hammer of their own. They were about to present brand new evidence, and not just any receipts. They claimed it would prove Diddy lied under oath. What showed up on those courtroom screens next? Nobody, and I mean nobody, was ready for it. The tension in that courtroom was already off the charts after 50 Cent's shocking arrival. But now, the room felt like it was about to explode. Everyone held their breath, eyes locked on the screen, waiting for the next bombshell to hit. The prosecution had that look on their faces, like they were sitting on a grenade, just waiting to pull the pin. You know that confident, borderline smug grin that says, "Watch this." Then it came. "Your Honor, we'd like to present evidence item 47B, the lead prosecutor announced. The defense side looked completely thrown off. My source inside the courtroom said Diddy's top attorney jumped up instantly. "Your Honor, we were never given anything labeled 47B during discovery." You could feel the tension spike. That's when it got real. The judge motioned both legal teams to approach the bench. They crowded in tight, whispering and debating for nearly 5 straight minutes, while Diddy sat all alone at the defense table. And guess what he kept doing? Cracking his knuckles one at a time, something the courtroom sketch artist told me only happens when he's seriously under pressure. And the whole time, he kept glancing back at 50 Cent, still chilling in the back row, arms folded like he was watching a movie. When the attorneys finally returned, Diddy's lawyer looked drained, like he already knew what was coming. The judge turned to the jury and made it official. The court will allow this evidence, as it was only discovered yesterday. Then the bombshell hit. The prosecution revealed they had obtained security footage from Diddy's Miami mansion, dated April 2018. As the lights dimmed and the courtroom screens came to life, everything changed. The footage showed what looked like Diddy and Cassie in a hallway. No sound, but the body language, loud and clear. And from the looks on the jurors' faces, you could tell they weren't ready for what they were seeing. The footage hit like a punch to the gut. Diddy could be seen yelling, pointing, cornering Cassie against a wall. But then came the moment that had the entire courtroom gasping out loud. The screen showed Diddy grabbing Cassie by the shoulders, shaking her violently, then shoving her to the ground. It wasn't blurry, it wasn't vague, it was crystal clear. Diddy jumped up so fast, his chair crashed to the floor behind him. "That's not what happened," he shouted across the courtroom before his lawyer had to physically grab him and yank him back into his seat. The attorney leaned in, whispering something quick and desperate, but Diddy's face was already unrecognizable. Eyes wide, chest heaving, panic setting in. A court officer immediately stepped closer to the table, just in case. But it wasn't just the video, it was the lie that made this clip so explosive. Just one day earlier, Diddy swore under oath, "I have never, in any instance, physically assaulted Ms. Ventura or any woman." He even doubled down, There are no videos or evidence of such behavior because it never occurred. So when the prosecutor played that footage and read those exact quotes back, Diddy's entire persona crumbled. He sat there, shaking his head over and over, mumbling to himself. Then he put his head down on the table, like he was trying to disappear. His lawyer begged for a quick recess, but the judge wasn't having it. "We will continue with the proceedings. Mr. Combs needs to maintain his composure." One bailiff later told reporters, "I've never seen a defendant fall apart that fast in one session. It was like watching a whole personality melt away right in front of you." He said that by the time court wrapped up that day, the shockwaves were already blasting through Hollywood. Phones were lighting up with texts, group chats were buzzing, celebrities were scrambling, questioning who to stand by. That tight circle of silence that had always protected Diddy, it collapsed just as fast as he did in court, and nobody saw how quickly his A-list friends would start bailing on him. Before the trial, Diddy was untouchable. His name held weight. Big names lined up for his parties, dropped features on his tracks, and went to bat for him in public. The moment drama popped off, they locked arms around him like a fortress. That's the level of power he had. No one wanted to risk their own brand by going against him. But everything flipped after day 3. That security footage of the alleged assault, combined with Diddy's courtroom breakdown, blew the lid off. But the real game changer, 50 Cent. When he stood up for Cassie, it was like he cracked the Hollywood code of silence in half. 50 backing Cassie gave people permission to pick a side, my source inside the industry told me. It was like the green light everybody was waiting on. Now they didn't have to be the first to speak up. And it showed. Fast. Within hours of 50's courthouse moment, Hollywood started breaking into two sides. The unfollows hit hard. Usher, who's dropped hit after hit with Diddy, quietly unfollowed him. Mary J. Blige, who used to roll with him heavy back in the bad boy days, did the same. And Justin Bieber, he didn't just unfollow, he wiped all their old pics off his page like Diddy never existed. This wasn't just some random wave of unfollows, this was strategic. People weren't trying to get caught in the fallout. And the internet, it turned into a full-blown battlefield. Celebs started dropping cryptic posts, no names, but the shade was loud. Lizzo posted just 2 words, "Believe women." No caption, no tag, just vibes. The Weeknd threw up a black screen that said, "Power doesn't equal truth." Even Drake, who usually stays miles away from drama, jumped in with, "The truth always surfaces." Eventually, that post alone sent fans into a frenzy. Then the gloves came off. As soon as the court footage leaked, some celebs stopped playing subtle. Cardi B went live on IG and said, "I've seen this kind of behavior in the industry for years. It's time we stop protecting abusers just because they got money." She didn't say Diddy's name, but everyone knew who she meant. But the biggest red flag, nobody's answering Diddy's calls anymore. A member of his management team told me that some of his closest celeb friends, people who used to answer his calls immediately, are straight up ghosting him now. He's called Rihanna 6 times since the video dropped. She hasn't picked up once. My source said it's the same story with Beyoncé and Jay-Z. Diddy's team has been begging for public support. Nothing. Not a word, just silence. Meanwhile, Cassie's support is skyrocketing. Female artists who used to work with Diddy are now contacting her legal team, offering to testify about their own experiences. The industry is flipping fast, and Diddy's empire? It's looking shakier by the day. Celebs who never speak on legal cases were suddenly speaking loud and clear. Even Lady Gaga sent flowers straight to Cassie's home with a handwritten note. "I believe you." A source close to Cassie told me, just a week ago, this kind of public support would have been unthinkable. Diddy's grip on the industry was that tight, speaking against him could get you blackballed in a second. But now, the tables have turned completely. Day by day, more celebs are jumping off the Diddy ship. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, they did. The moment everything officially exploded. It went down during Cassie's live courtroom testimony, and it left the entire room, even the judge, completely stunned. The courtroom was packed, reporters lined the back wall, a few bold celebrities scattered in the crowd. And there was 50 Cent, still locked in, arms folded, eyes never leaving Diddy. That whole morning, Diddy looked like a ticking time bomb. Court clerk Melissa Johnson said he kept leaning over to whisper to his attorneys, each time louder and more frantic. His leg was bouncing under the table like a jackhammer. He loosened his tie, then tightened it back over and over again. You didn't need to be an expert to see it. Dude was unraveling. Cassie took the stand around 2:30 p.m., calm, composed. She held eye contact with the jury and didn't flinch. She described a disturbing moment from 2019, how Diddy threatened to ruin her if she ever walked away. He said he made me and he could destroy me just as easily. Before she could even finish, Diddy started shaking his head in disbelief. His attorney kept touching his arm, trying to hold him back. But the tension was rising, and the judge saw it too. Something was about to snap. Court reporter Damon Williams told me the judge actually scribbled something on a notepad and quietly passed it to Diddy's lawyer. Word is, it was a direct warning about his client's behavior spiraling out of control. But that warning came too late. The final snap happened when Cassie described a chilling incident at Diddy's Hampton house back in 2018. She testified that after he caught her talking to another music exec, he locked her in a bedroom for 2 whole days. As she spoke, Diddy's entire face shifted. His eyes popped wide open, jaw clenched like steel, and a thick vein started bulging on his forehead, visible even from the gallery. The courtroom artist later said it was the most intense expression she'd ever had to sketch. Pure rage, nothing like the Diddy the public knows. Then, boom! Diddy suddenly stood up so hard, his chair screeched back. His lawyer grabbed at his jacket, trying to sit him back down, but it was too late. "That's all lies," he shouted across the room, pointing straight at Cassie. "You know what you did." The whole courtroom froze. Even the court reporter's fingers stopped mid-type. Cassie flinched, but didn't look at him. She kept her gaze locked forward, not giving him a single reaction. But Diddy wasn't finished. He whirled around toward the back of the room where 50 Cent was sitting and snapped, "And you'll regret getting involved in this." His voice cracked from the fury. Security immediately closed in. 2 officers stepped between him and the witness stand, while another stood right behind his chair, ready to act. Judge Harmon slammed her gavel 3 times. "Mr. Combs, you will control yourself in my courtroom," she warned. "One more outburst and you're getting held in contempt." "Security, stay in position," the judge ordered, her voice sharp. Diddy's lead attorney jumped up, trying to ask for a recess, but Judge Harmon wasn't having it. "Sit down, counsel. We will continue." The courtroom audience was stunned. This wasn't just a slip-up, this was Diddy, the man who built his whole brand on being cool under pressure, completely unhinged in front of everyone. One juror was seen furiously writing in her notebook right after the outburst. And let's be real, that's never a good sign for the defense. Meanwhile, Cassie didn't flinch. She calmly took a sip of water, looked at the jury, and kept going like Diddy's explosion had never even happened. Her attorney later told reporters that Cassie's composure came from confidence, real support finally, from major industry names like 50 Cent. And 50. His response to Diddy's threats, just a small smirk and a slow, steady nod, like he was saying, "Exactly where I plan to be." That one look said it all. The power dynamic had flipped, and everyone in that courtroom felt it. But Cassie wasn't done. Her story kept going. And while she spoke, Diddy's team was scrambling. The entire defense had been built around painting him as a calm, controlled businessman who'd never lay a hand on anyone. That narrative shattered the moment he started screaming in court. A legal insider told me Diddy's attorneys spent all night trying to patch together a new game plan. The perfect gentleman angle was dead. So what's the new move? Play the victim, and fast. Just this morning, Diddy's team filed a last-minute emergency motion. They're begging the court for a mistrial. The meltdown wasn't just emotional, it might have wrecked their entire case. Diddy's legal team is reaching, and reaching hard. In their emergency mistrial motion, they claimed 50 Cent's presence was a setup, meant to provoke Diddy and poison the courtroom vibes. They even dropped screenshots of 50's social media posts, trying to paint it all as part of some coordinated plot to sway the jury. But Judge Harmon, she shut that down fast. Motion denied within hours. She made it crystal clear, Mr. Combs' behavior is his responsibility alone. Now Diddy's team is scrambling to flip the script. Their shiny, polished image of the perfect businessman gone. Now they're leaning into a new defense, Diddy as passionate but misunderstood. It's a total 180 from the never did anything wrong stance they started with. Meanwhile, Cassie's legal team is going for the jugular. Her lead attorney just requested 3 new witnesses be allowed to testify, people who had previously refused to come forward. What changed? Seeing Diddy snap in court made them feel safe. His power? Not so scary anymore. Sources close to the case say the new witnesses include a former security guard and 2 personal assistants, all with direct insight into how Diddy allegedly behaved behind closed doors. And 50, he's still turning up the pressure. Since the courtroom meltdown, he's posted 7 times about the case, each one sharper than the last. The latest? A split-screen photo showing Diddy in court next to the infamous security footage, with the caption, "Actions speak louder than lawyers." It blew up, over 3 million likes in just 6 hours, and he's not done. 50 just announced a new docu-series titled Music Industry Secrets, and word is, it's about to shine a massive spotlight on everything Diddy tried to keep hidden. One of the most powerful shifts in this whole saga. Cassie herself. Court observers were stunned at how different she seemed when she came back to the stand after Diddy's outburst. She sat taller, spoke louder, and carried herself with unshakable confidence. Her attorney confirmed it. "My client feels validated." She's finding her voice more and more with each day in court. And the jury? They noticed too. Legal experts say Diddy's courtroom meltdown may have done serious damage to his own defense. Jury consultant Sarah Matthews broke it down. Jurors don't just listen, they watch, and they just saw him completely lose control. That image will stick with them way longer than anything said on the stand. Another trial analyst added that right after Diddy's explosion, the jury's body language changed. Several members were literally leaning away from him in their seats. The energy had flipped. But it's not just the trial that's taking a toll. Diddy's entire empire is starting to shake. Shares in his Revolt Media company dropped 14% following the courtroom chaos. 3 major brands have now paused their liquor endorsements and his talent agency. They've put his representation under review. Industry insiders are already estimating up to $200 million in lost business, even if he beats the case. The man who once seemed untouchable is now watching his empire crumble in real time. And while Diddy scrambles, Cassie's momentum keeps rising. But this isn't just about them anymore. With 50 Cent teasing more receipts and a whole docu-series on the way, this trial could be the spark that finally exposes secrets the music industry has kept buried for decades. What started as one woman speaking out is now turning into a full-blown reckoning. The power map of the music industry just got flipped on its head. Diddy, once the ultimate puppet master, controlling his image and intimidating everyone in his orbit, is now stuck at the defense table, watching his empire collapse piece by piece. Meanwhile, Cassie, once too scared to speak up, is now standing tall, backed by unexpected forces like 50 Cent, who turned the heat all the way up. Nobody saw this kind of power shift coming. What should have been a quiet legal win for Diddy is now a full-blown public reckoning, and it gets messier by the day. And let's be clear, this case is bigger than Diddy now. It's cracked the door open for others to finally speak up about powerful figures in music who thought they could do whatever they wanted and never face consequences. The silence is breaking, and this storm is just getting started. If you found this wild, don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment, and share. See you on the next one.